So for us, the 12-month package is the one we want to focus on and encourage the parents to sign up for. So we have a lot of little subtle clues. I don't know if any of you noticed, but green rather than red. The little moshling is sticking his tongue out on the left. But we also, there's some, when you have an online product, you can tinker and push the levers and dials a little bit in a way you can't if you put your product into a retail shop. So we've experimented and tried to figure out if there are ways we can encourage more people to go for the annual package. And there's a great example of this from The Economist. So as human beings, we're not very good at judging the value of something in isolation. We need context to figure out whether something is good or bad value. We need cues and clues. So this example from The Economist hopefully will sort of show this. They offered a subscription package, as you can see, online or print and online and print only. Now, no one's going to go for the print-only package at $125 when they could get print and online. And unsurprisingly, print and online was the most popular, and 84% of people went for that. And then they thought they'd try this experiment again and take away the context, i.e. the print only. Now, what would happen if you take that away? Well, in theory, nothing, because no one plumped for that. But couldn't be further from the truth. Without the context, without the realization that print and online looked attractive, most people just went for the cheapest, simplest option. And obviously there are very, very different revenue implications for those. There are tons and tons of books. I'll just come on to this I'll come on to the books in a second. But so this is what we did. When we launched Moshi, the 1, the 6, and the 12-month packages were all roughly equally spaced out. 12 months was roughly 12 times a 1-month package. And then what we did was we condensed the 6 and the 12 together. So 6th month looked really unattractive compared to the 12-month. And something very unusual happened. Before, it was roughly equally split, 14-15% for the 6 and 12 months. When we made 12 months look comparatively more attractive, even though it brought in the same revenue, there was a huge jump. And now over a quarter of our users go for the annual package. This is, as I say, a really, really important point for anyone building an online business. Some great book resources. The one in the middle is, I think, probably my favorite business book called Influence, well worth checking out. So, I mentioned at the start that we hit this magical tipping point last summer. And the number one question I always get asked is, what caused that tipping point? Why did the game suddenly start taking off at that point? And I think there are probably two primary reasons. The first was a crucial penny drop moment for us when we realized that kids loved communicating and chatting and showing off to their friends online just as much as adults do. And if we could harness that, if we could build safe social tools and community features that enable them to do that, we could potentially build a site that is as big and dominant in the kids space as Facebook is in the grown-up space. So that was a really important point. And around last summer, we started to add and play around and spend more time focusing on our social features. And there are a few examples here. So unlike a lot of other kids sites that went after Club Penguin and took their cues from that site, we spent more time being inspired by Facebook and trying to reimagine their very, very successful features for an under 13-year-old audience. So we have a pin board, which is akin to the wall in Facebook, where you can send messages. All are public, none are private. They run through software filters. You can customize them, change the color and the symbols, and kids absolutely love communicating in that way, sending everything from pet strategies to jokes and ASCII art and all sorts of other fun stuff. There's a news feed where you can see what your friends are getting up to. You've got a friends tree to show off who your friends are. The ones in purple are the BFFs, or your BFFs, your best friends forever, which change on a daily basis. As anyone who's a kid hopefully remembers. And then on the bottom right here, you have the room that the child has customized. And this is my room. And if you stop and look at this, this is more than just a game. There's so much more going on here. This is like a social network page, a MySpace or a Facebook page, but reimagined for an under 13-year-old. So there are games that they can buy from the shops that their friends can come and play. They can show off how many gifts they've received. They can show off all these cool items that they bought and their taste in music and so forth, and the trophies they've got for solving puzzles. Their friends can rate their room, and there's an awful lot going on, and it's one of the reasons why the site has done so well. So I just want to give one more example on the social side of things. Anyone that runs a social network knows that one of the key metrics you track is friends requests. It leads to greater engagement and greater messaging, greater chance of becoming a member. And our friend requests were fairly stable, they didn't change much. And we don't have a world like Club Penguin where users can wander around and chat to other users in real time. Leaving your house and going onto the street was quite a lonely affair because there are no other monsters out there. So we came up with a very simple hack that took less than a day to build. We just simply populated the street with other monsters that had recently logged in. And overnight, that small change back there led to a huge uptick in friend requests as kids suddenly had more friends to chat to and connect to and see wandering around. And then throughout 2009, we saw good, healthy growth. This is daily friend requests as we added more social features and gave kids more fun stuff to talk about and share. So I mentioned, just come on to that in a second, I mentioned there were two reasons why the site really took off last summer. The second one was our focus on marketing. Before that point, it had all been word of mouth, which is very, very important. And a lot of people building online properties make this mistake. They start their marketing too early. They worry that their product is not taking off and not reaching consumers because they're not spending money on marketing. And it's a massive, massive mistake. If you're building an online property, whether it's a game or anything else, you've got to spend all your early energy and time and money tweaking and iterating and polishing that product until it starts to take off, until it starts having your audience share with other people. If you add marketing too early, you're just masking the problems that your site has. It's not taking off for a reason. It's because the product sucks, and you have to solve that first. So I feel very passionate about this. Marketing is not the spark that starts the fire. It's the accelerant you put on the fire once the blaze is already burning. And here's an example. We were about to start marketing, and we just brought a new marketing director on board last year. And he said, wait, let's just look at the site and see all the little things we can tidy up before we start throwing money at it. And the analogy was, we don't want to pour our marketing cash into a leaky bucket. So we did some simple stuff. On the left was our old homepage, and on the right was one that we'd spent just a few days tweaking. And they look pretty similar. But as you can see on the right, we've changed some of the colors, we've moved a few things around, we've changed some of the wording. We showed this newest members to give a sense that there's social and stuff going on. And we saw our conversion of traffic hitting the homepage to sign up and adopt a monster jump from 30 to 40%, which has a massive impact if you're spending thousands of dollars a day on AdWords. So that was important. Opening our kimono a little bit here, but this is some of our stats from our different marketing channels from last year. And we're very proud to say that about 70% of the users that sign up at Moshi Monsters come through organic means, just friends telling friends, which is very, very important. But as you can see, we started spending a little bit more on paid-for marketing. And what we love doing is placing lots of little bets. If something works, we load up on it. If it doesn't work, we can it. So far, only two channels haven't really worked for us. One is radio, and the other is advertising targeting print advertising targeting parents. Not quite sure why, we're going to play around with them, but just about every other channel has been great. The two most successful for us, obviously, number one is online AdWords and on the AdSense network with Google, and the other, which was a real surprise to me, was TV advertising. I want to just tell you a quick story. So when our head of marketing came on board, he said within his first week, let's run TV ads for Moshi. Let's drive traffic from TV to the website. And I was horrified. Thought I'd made a massive mistake bringing this guy on board. And my impression, as we heard in the last speech, I thought TV was dead. No one watches TV. No one even, if they do, they're not certainly watching the adverts. You can't get a good ROI on it, you can't track it, blah, 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 a million reasons. And Ed, our marketing director, said, let's just give an experiment, let's just see if we can make it work, and we'll abandon it if it doesn't. So we spent £10,000 over one weekend. We crafted just not cobbled together an ad in-house with our in-house animation team. We put an ad live, and it brought in £60,000 that weekend. So I was sold at that point, and apologise to my marketing director, and now listen to whatever he tells me. One of the key things we did, which is important, is that we use a unique URL at the end of our adverts, so we know what traffic has been watching that ad and coming to the website. And what's interesting is, so if we run an ad saying "Hey Moshi" or "Play Moshi" or "Free Moshi" or whatever in a particular country, we'll notice that there's a huge long tail to that domain, which means kids are sharing it, putting it on forums, and it's still driving traffic months and months after the ads have actually aired. What we've also noticed, we can also track not just the traffic that comes from watching that particular ad, but their likelihood of signing up and becoming a member. And we found when we run TV ads, the traffic is, the parents are twice as likely to pay for a membership than organic traffic. And we think this has something to do with parents feeling more comfortable and happy with the brand because they know it's a proper brand that appears on TV rather than some random website they don't know anything about. So that was all very exciting, and you can see these peaks where we started doing TV. So this is now daily registrations. Back in June 2009, that was our first TV ad, and we did about 60,000 sign-ups a day at that point, and then a few experimental TV ads in different countries, and then this was running up to Christmas, 100,000 sign-ups a day for that campaign, and then 150,000 a day, which, you know, I don't know if we can sustain this exciting growth, but it's been very exciting getting to this point. So I mentioned TV was important. The second was online, and again, this is probably relevant for anyone building an online game or anyone doing any marketing online. Of our online spend, about 80% of the traffic comes from the visual ads that we create that go out on the Google content network. And as you'd expect, kids are much more visual and they respond better to those than text ads. But the text ads are still important because it allows us to figure out what messaging works and connects most with our audience. So we learned from our text ads that boys like the phrase "create your free pet monster," girls prefer "create your free cute pet," and then we create visual ads based around that. So last couple of slides now. I was a lot on marketing. The product is extremely important, obviously, and you know it doesn't matter how good your marketing is if the product is not going to retain and keep your users excited and engaged. And online, your audience has an incredibly short attention span, particularly in the kids space. So you want to strip away all the nonsense before your players get to the actual product. So minimal registrations, no downloads, as little friction as possible, and get them into the game and actually playing. The penultimate one, attention to detail. This is extremely important. I mentioned earlier a lot of money flowed into the kids space and a lot of games came out, and I don't think a lot of people realized how tough it is to build a good online game. You don't create something and put it out there and sit and watch the money come in. You're constantly iterating and tweaking and looking at the data. And we've been hugely inspired by Pixar. In the film industry, you know, there's a well-known phrase, I think it was William Goldstone that said it, that no one knows anything. No one knows what's going to be a hit. It's all a little bit random. Nonsense. Companies like Pixar get it. About 10 films I think they've released, average gross over $500 million for every single film, 10 hits in a row. They know what they're doing, excuse me, and they know what they're doing because of their attention to detail and what they learn from each film they load onto the next one. So we've been inspired by that and trying to become the Pixar of the social gaming space. And the final one is to think big. Anyone building an online game, think beyond. Once your product clicks and resonates, think beyond the screen. What else can you do? And I think this has been a problem in the video game space for a while. Our audiences have wonderful connections with our characters. What else can we do? So by this, and this is a back of a napkin sketch I did, thinking about how we could expand Moshi in different directions. I don't mean slapping the logo on backs of cereal boxes and clothing and so forth, but how can we enhance our players' experience through different media? So the central point, the heartbeat of the brand is the Moshi Monsters website and the community, but then we can create trading cards which have codes which unlock new content online, or we can create an online TV show that announces competition winners, or we can have books that have puzzles and take contributions from the online community and appear in print in a whole host of different ways to build what we hope will be a very exciting and successful and well-respected brand.